3, 2. Yo, what's up? This is DJ Truth, and this is the More Life Podcast, episode number 4. Yo, today is a special day. Every day seems like a special day, but today is a very special day. I get to interview someone that I have grown to really, really love, Mr. Larry the Legend. Can I say that? Larry Legend, sure. Not Bird. Larry Legend Lage. What's up, man?
I love you too, brother.
Man, listen. Over the past, let's say 3 or 4 years, I haven't gained many new friends, to be honest. Like, I can count on one hand how many friends that I've gained over the past few years, and you have become one of them. I remember, so I'm going to jump straight ahead real quick. I remember when I first met you. I remember I was at OTF in Ann Arbor, and we were in class. I was at Maine, and you walked over to me and asked me to play. I don't remember the song, but you asked me to play it, and I searched for it, but I didn't have it. I played one of 2 songs you asked for. I didn't have the second one, and nothing happened. Like, you left, and the next time you came in, you asked for that song again, and I had it that time. I don't remember what song it was, but it was an old school song, and normally when people ask me for songs, I try to play the next few songs in that genre or in that how it is. And I literally saw you mouthing the words to every song I did.
I remember that you couldn't stump me.
I know, yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna keep going. I'm like, all right, let me see. I'm thinking like you're like, yo, this young punk doesn't know this stuff, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna keep going to show him what I know. But I'm like, he's not gonna know everything. You literally knew every freaking song. It's amazing.
I can't tell you contemporary hip hop, but old school from, we'll say early 80s to the mid 90s.
Right.
I'm unfadable, so please don't try to fade me.
Yo, this is true. Yo, so everyone that's tuning in, we're going to talk a lot about music. I know all of you guys know me from music, and you respect the music that I play for you guys, and I love the music that people give me. I think one of the misconceptions is in class, people, when I ask them for songs, they think I won't play it because they think it's not cool to work out to. But you don't care. And the thing is, you can literally play anything.
Right. I brought you Rusted Root. I'm not just old school hip hop.
Right. This is true. This is true. And you literally can play anything. And that's one thing I respect about you, especially when you send me messages before class like, yo, I might want these songs. Get them in there. I love it because...
Does anybody give you more requests than me in the Orange Theory world?
I don't think so.
I think you're supposed to be asking the questions. But I don't get.
You can ask questions too. I don't know. Does anyone give more requests than you? I don't think so. But when people do request, I'll make sure that I don't just do that song. Like, I just got back from Boston. And the class that I was DJing, there was a older lady who walked in, and she was like, "Can you please just give me one older song?" She had never met me. She had no clue. Right. So she was like, "Could you just give me one older song from like the 80s, like some 80s rock?" I was like, "Yes, ma'am, I got you." I gave her a whole 16 minutes of. Nice. She loved it. She gave me a hug after class and told me that I was excellent. I've never heard those words.
I love it.
Like, I was excellent in that moment.
I love
it. I didn't get her name, but shout out to her. I got a picture with her somewhere, but
nice.
Shout out to her. So let's get to you. I'm going to jump around a little bit, so bear with me.
I can handle it. I got ADHD.
Oh, me too. Oh, yo, I haven't been diagnosed, but I'm sure I have it.
You can't. We can go wherever you want.
Yo, so I saw a post yesterday. Larry posted yesterday. Here in Detroit, if you're listening, you're not from Detroit, we had a huge brawl at the Palace of Auburn Hills. If you're a basketball fan, you know about this huge brawl. It was called the Malace at the Palace. And you were there?
I was up in the eye of the storm.
Yo, you were there?
Sitting next to Rick Mahorn, who tried to break it up, and I jumped on the court. I was on the court with players fighting up in the stands after I called AP New York, and I said, "Turn on ESPN, I need help." And there was a split second where I said, "Whoa." Steven Jackson and Ron Artest and Rip Hamilton and Rasheed Wallace are up in the stands.
Yeah.
And I'm on the court. And technically, there's still time to play. Crazy. I hope that is the craziest night of my career.
I pray that's the craziest night. I was literally watching that game when it happened, and I'm looking at so I was a Ron Artest fan, number one, because his name was Ron and my name is Ronnie. If you guys don't know that, my first name is Ronnie, not Ronald, Ronnie. And Ron Artest is Ron. He went to St. John's. I was a fan of him. I was a fan of him in Indiana and Los Angeles Lakers. And I'm watching the footage, and I see him laying down. At this point, I think he had a technical foul or something, and he lays down.
Ben Wallace shoved him in the chest.
Mm-hmm. Big
They kind of had words, and then Ron Artest laid on the scorer's table with his hands behind his head like he was on the beach.
Right. And
that's
something
when the
flew,
cup came.
And he lost it. Did they ever find out where the cup came from?
Yeah, they busted the guy.
But I'm sure it wasn't the guy fighting.
Yeah, and it was, he said for the record it was Diet Coke and ice. No. But if he threw that half-full cup 100 times, I don't think he would have hit Ron more than 5 times.
Absolutely.
It was just one of those moments. So I've got my head down, writing for the Associated Press. The game's basically over.
I'm going to jump to that.
So I'm doing my story, and I hear a commotion. And then I walk to the center court, and I see the TV monitor where the officials come, watch replays to see what happened. Ron Artest is laying 10 feet from me, and I'm like, that's kind of odd. Then in the corner of my eye,
that's kind of odd.
I see the cup, and then Ron Artest is running toward me. I went back, grabbed my laptop, put my left foot on the scorer's table, and catapulted onto the court. There's a under the basket camera that is facing where the fight was, and this guy that worked for Fox Sports Detroit, the late great Tim Bryant, said, "Larry, wait till you see this move we've got of you. We haven't seen anything like that in this town since Barry retired." Because I was out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, pew.
And
I don't blame
when
you.
I shared that picture on Instagram and I think Twitter also with the little circle. Shout out to Instagram
What's your Twitter?
for helping me
What's
with
your
that.
Instagram and Twitter?
Yeah, and I put it on both, I think. But it was crazy how close I was, like about as close as we are to where it was going down.
That is number one. I'm sad. I've never heard the story. I'm sad you've never mentioned this to me.
Well, how long have we known each other?
I know, but I would like to know. Like this should be like an opener.
Do you know the answer to that question? How long have we known each other?
I don't know. Less than a year.
2 years, year and a half.
A year?
I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, that's like you share that story with people. Because I just remember being at home watching it. Could you imagine if that happened in 2019?
This is before social media.
How many angles and
like the little bird would have been like,
exactly.
I mean, it was like the Miles Barrett thing, the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. It would have been. It would have literally the biggest thing in the world.
Once you had the fans involved, then it transcended sports, and that's when I had CBS This Morning and Fox News Channel wanting me on the next morning. But it was like 3 a.m, and I just wanted to go home, go to bed, get my kids, see them the next day. They wanted to put me up in a hotel. I'm like, sorry, I'm passing, because I also have my dream job and don't really care who knows me, as crazy as that sounds. Like, I'm not trying to go anywhere.
Absolutely.
So I don't need more people to know me that I don't need to know me, if that makes any sense.
I get it. So yeah, Larry Lage was at the Malace of the Palace. I know there's tons of people that were there and witnessed it, but he was right there in the eye of the storm. He's seen it all. So you just said you had your dream job. So what exactly was your role? Well, what was your dream job at that time? And is it still the same?
Still the same job. So August 30th, 2000, I was hired by the Associated Press to cover the state of Michigan, the 4 pro teams, Michigan State football and basketball, golf, auto racing, whatever major sports are going on in the state.
Right.
It has been my job to be there or have a coworker. I got a coworker, shout out Noah Trister, 9 years ago,
you need another
to split the state.
You need another.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I can hire freelancers.
Oh, yeah.
Help me with some quotes.
Oh, there we go. Come on.
So I primarily cover Lions home games, Michigan home games, Michigan State home games, Red Wings home games, or I hire freelancers or work it out with my coworker. But basically, I work for the world's largest news gathering organization covering my hometown teams.
Wow.
And I get paid to sit in seats you can't buy.
You need a shirt that says that. I get paid to sit in seats you can't. That's amazing.
I don't care how much money you got. You can't have my seat.
Exactly. Wow.
And if you don't like it, I won't say the rest.
So me just doing research on you and going over your background. So, you grew up in Ann Arbor?
True. 13 houses from the big house.
13 houses
from
the big house?
My parents' street, if it kept going through Main Street, would be the 50-yard line.
Wow.
So I used to say I was born on the 50 and I worked on the 50, but when they made the new press box, that shifted me down to like the 25.
Okay.
So kind of messed up my line.
Man, that's fine. So, grew up in Ann Arbor, but college, you ended up going to MSU?
Yep. The only school I applied to was Michigan State. I didn't want to play D3 football, which I could have. Not that that's some huge accomplishment, but I was captain all conference for my my school, Pioneer, right across from the big house, football player. Didn't want to play D3 football because I didn't want to go to a college smaller than my high school. I went to Ann Arbor Pioneer, 2,000 people. Couldn't afford to go to Syracuse, which has the best broadcasting journalism program. Michigan State had a pretty good one, also an education program. So I applied to Michigan State because I didn't want to go to Michigan. Probably couldn't have got in, to be honest, but I didn't want to.
But you didn't even apply? You didn't apply for Michigan?
I didn't. Only school I applied to was Michigan State. And as God would have it, the day I got in was one of the most famous games. Number 1 Michigan against no 1 Michigan State. Desmond Howard tripped in the end zone when Michigan went for 2. Michigan State won the game, 1990. That day, I got my letter that said, "Congratulations, you're a Spartan." And I'll be honest, at the point, I was not happy with the game result because I was a Michigan fan growing up. Then I became a Michigan State fan. Right. And as I know you want to discuss, now I don't care who wins.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that because you say your family doesn't believe you that you can't pick a side.
My friends, including you.
Your friends, including myself.
Yeah. And that's fine. You can look me dead in the eye and tell me you don't believe me.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
So
let me just give you a quick example. So do you remember a couple years ago the Michigan State game? Michigan has a win. All they got to do is punt the ball.
Oh,
right?
Yeah,
and they flubbed it. Michigan State won. So I had my 600-word story ready to go about Michigan winning the game. That was then garbage, right? Like the runner-up teams in the Super Bowl. You know, there's Super Bowl champion T-shirts for both teams, right?
Of course.
And some third world country kids are rocking,
of course,
the runner-up jersey. Yeah. But anyway, so my 600-word story is now garbage, and now I have to scramble to sum up what just happened. And if I cared either way, if Michigan State won in that game, I would have either been happy or mad at the result. But the bottom line was I wasn't happy because I had to tear up my story. Like, I root for me. That's the secret about sports writers. We root for us,
the
team that's leading late to hold on and win because you don't have to flip your story.
So you won't have to do it over.
Right?
I get it.
And, I hope the teams I cover win because the players and the coaches and the general manager, they're all happier to interview. But if they lose, it doesn't affect my day at all. Like, so fans are high and low. Right. I'm just in here. Right? Okay. So with the Lions, it's great because they don't ruin my Sunday. But like when my alma mater, Michigan State, goes to the Final Four, or Michigan, my childhood team, has a big win, like I don't get the same joy. So it's kind of business-like, which is
no, and I understand
boring,
that. I just
maybe.
don't. Yeah, I get that.
But that's real.
So sports-wise, so growing up, who was your favorite player? Not even team.
Anthony Carter, wide receiver for Michigan, and Michael Jordan. Who I met multiple times and had a one-on-one interview.
MJ?
I'm sorry?
With Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan at the Palace, 97-ish.
97.
And after the interview, I said, okay, first of all, I said, Michael, do you have a minute? He said, sure. We talked, looked me in the eye, answered my questions, real cool, which doesn't always happen.
Right.
And then afterwards I said, I've never said this before to an athlete, and I won't again, but I grew up as a huge fan of you growing up. And when I went to Michigan State and came home, my mom took down the 80 pictures of you I had up in my room, and he cracked up and asked me what my name was again and wished me luck.
Nice.
And, like, I tell that story, but when you've met Muhammad Ali and Michael Jordan, I am on no one's jock in sports. Like, I don't care, right?
Pinnacle.
You can't impress me. It's my job to be objective. But when I had, like, Ice Cube on my podcast, my daughter said, "You're a fanboy." And I said, "Yep." You're for Ice Cube.
For Ice Cube,
I'm not a music writer, so I can be on his jack, And we can get into the Ice Cube Biz Marquee story later. I think I've hit you with that one.
Yeah, you did. So Anthony Carter, favorite player.
Anthony Carter, Michael Jordan.
Okay, so we're not gonna count Michael Jordan because he didn't play for Michigan.
Okay.
Anthony Carter. So there's not an ounce of your blood growing up living down the street, looking basically at the 50-yard line, straight to the 50-yard line. There's not an ounce of blood in you saying, "Yo, I want Michigan to pull this out," or "I want Michigan State to pull this out." Like, I didn't mention that you were Sparty.
Yeah, I know. We kind of
got over that.
I was the Michigan State mascot. 93, 94.
And there's no bias. Like, zero bias.
And as I think you may have recorded, hopefully burned.
Oh, no, I didn't burn it. Nothing leaves this, baby. Nothing leaves the phone.
I hope the footage is... But Coach Cat at Maine... told me I had to do that dance for her one time, and I was feeling it. You were there.
Yeah.
And I did my dance routine to Brass Monkey by the Beastie Boys, just the beginning.
Yeah. He did the first maybe 10, 15 seconds. He did the worm on the floor. Everyone cheered. Yeah, you look no shin splits.
I hope your camera broke.
Right there.
You don't have that, do you?
No, I definitely have that. I don't.
Can you play that with the?
You want me to put? Yeah. So I'll put it in this video. Yeah. I'll just put a little scene of you doing it.
I mean, only if it looks good.
I probably won't be able to play the music. I'll probably mute the music
because
YouTube will pull it down.
But only if it looks good.
No, it looks great. We're gonna assume it looks great.
46-year-old, slightly chubby white guy, Mr. Clean.
Mr. Clean, yeah, he was Mr. Clean for Halloween. I love it. So, okay, no bias. You were Sparty. I think that's a huge accomplishment, just being freaking Sparty. I've met some Sparties over the year.
We had a 30-year reunion this year. All of us
were
by the back. We were on the field. It was sweet.
Huh. What? So was it here? Was it in
at East Lansing when they played Arizona State?
Okay.
I was also an ice cream truck driver in Lansing.
How? Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's like 4 songs.
Nice. How'd you feel about that loss the other day? I'm a Michigan fan. I'm sorry.
I didn't care.
You didn't care. See, I tried to catch you right there.
Can't stop me.
Get him. Okay.
No.
All right. So
it was easy. I actually liked it because it was an easy story to write.
Like, yeah, it got blew out, and that was it.
Like the emoji.
Like,
can you see me?
Yo. So question.
Serious as cancer.
Before, I got some real questions, but I got one more thing I really want to talk about.
Okay.
This wedding you just attended.
Oh, wow.
Can you, whose wedding was it? Go ahead, drum roll. If you're a sports fan, you're going to know this is a drum roll.
Detroit's own Jamel Hill, my friend from Michigan State.
Can you give a quick background on Jamel Hill?
So Jamel Hill currently has a podcast on Spotify. She is a writer. She has a video TV production team. She used to work for ESPN for many years.
Yes. Amazing.
And she chose to leave after saying President Trump has surrounded himself by white supremacists. I think said Jerry Jones was kind of like a slave owner, something like that. Hopefully I'm paraphrasing her correctly. So what's crazy about the Jamel and the Trump thing was the night before that, I was driving home from the Lions game, and I called her, and we caught up and talked for like 30, 40 minutes.
Right.
And I wasn't surprised that she ended up leaving ESPN. Like, I think she may have done that even without the Trump thing.
Right.
But the Trump thing kind of just put her on another level.
Absolutely.
I mean, she is...
Sometimes
she is a hero in the culture. I will say that. She is a celebrity.
I agree. Completely agree.
And she is as real as the day is long. She also was the one who told me she wanted me to wear my Jordan 11 Concord white with the black patent leather bottoms, not my black dress shoes.
Nice. To the wedding.
So I did have the drip going on. Nice. I can't lie. Maybe the first time in my life.
No, you actually had the drip at the Ann Arbor thing we went to. You had the J's on. I remember you showed my friend too. I brought my boy. Shout out Marcus Hogan, Chop Faded. You had
I
some
think
Jordans
I wore the
day.
Jordans in the studio.
You did. You actually
to
did.
The VIP party.
Yeah, you did. So it's 3 times with the drip. So
I think they have. I don't think they've been outside more than 3 or 4 times. Okay. And I don't want to throw another punch, but if someone steps on my Jordans, we're fighting. I'm just playing. I really don't want to throw a punch.
Yeah, don't throw a punch.
But it was amazing. Quick story. So, dancing at the reception, and I look to my right, and I'm like, oh.
Can you dance?
That's not, yeah, I can dance.
Okay. Yeah, I can dance.
That's not a DJ. That's Music Soul Child.
Oh, that's nice.
So Music Soul Child surprised the guests, played a couple songs, Love, Don't Change.
Don't Change, of course.
And I didn't know. I missed the announcement. A couple Jamesons in me. Actually, Hennessy, which I had here, too.
Oh,
yeah.
And the Henny?
I had the Henny here, too, in that
shout
corner.
Out Dev. Yep,
shout out to your bartender friend. What's her name?
Her name's Devin. Dev. Shout out, Dev. Yo.
Yes, those were good. She had a special Henny and some juice.
Yeah, and you know what? I told
pineapple
her
juice. I believe.
I told her just make whatever she do. She's really good at that though. Quenched Mobile. Shout out to Quenched Mobile.
Yeah. Shout out to whoever made those wings that you had.
Oh, Captain J's. Yo, shout out to Captain J's.
Maybe a sponsor.
Yeah,
this show
shout out Captain
J's
by Captain J's. It was the lemon pepper wings. Bam. So you went to Jamel's wedding.
Dana Point, California, which is halfway between San Diego and LA. Stayed with some friends,
nice.
And they are friends with a big guy in Orange Theory in Michigan.
Nice.
And I went to Orange Theory out there, Huntington Beach once, Newport Beach twice.
Nice.
So it's great to still get my fix on the road.
Absolutely.
And I spent probably 12, 14 hours
looking at after the ocean. Or before?
What are you talking about?
Did you go to Orange Theory full of Jameson or before?
Oh, no, in the morning. I only do morning workouts, so cool. I'm not a morning drinker.
Well, I mean, was it the morning after the wedding?
No, that was the one I missed. That was the one I missed going into it.
I bet.
And not to make a sad moment, but that morning I woke up and found out that Charles Rogers, former Michigan State star, who I've known since high school, R.I.P., R.I.H. to Chuck. So I woke up to that, and even though I was on vacation, I couldn't help myself, so I got in touch with former Michigan State coach Bobby Williams and the strength and conditioning coach, and I sent the quotes to AP, and at the bottom of Charles Rogers' obituary, it said, Larry Lage contributed from Costa Mesa, California, because they said, where are you at?
Right.
Where are you contributing from? I'm like, Costa Mesa? They're like, yeah, for real? I'm like, yeah, for real. So but I spent like 12, 14 hours just looking at the ocean, sitting in a chair, half of that time by myself. It was so therapeutic. I could look at the ocean all day long. And my friends were like, you don't want to watch LSU Alabama? I'm like, I don't care about that game.
Exactly.
I mean, I can get big-time football back in Ann Arbor. I cannot get the Pacific Ocean in Ann Arbor.
Absolutely.
I don't have that much juice.
You might. You might. You just might. No, but that's great. That's great. Yeah, I saw the story about Charlie too, and it was, it was sad. It was really sad. I was actually on the phone talking to someone, and I was like, "Yo, have you heard of him?" I'm like, she didn't know, but she's a sports fan. I'm like, well, here in Michigan, it's a big deal. And he got drafted by the Lions, which was a bigger deal.
Which may not have been a good thing.
Exactly, because it kept him home. It keeps you home, and
too close to the nasty.
Absolutely.
That's Saginaw if you don't know the nasty.
Oh, absolutely.
I know you know the nasty, but people listen to this in like Bangladesh, they'll be like, the nasty?
Right. Sag nasty. Yeah,
I don't know if you can Google that.
Can you? Maybe. I didn't know, just real quick, I didn't know JaVale McGee. Okay. I had no clue he did anything in Flint. I didn't know he lived in Flint, played in Flint.
Yeah, the McGee family's huge in Flint.
Had no clue my entire life. And I'm a huge basketball fan. Did not know that.
That's like royalty in Flint.
Really?
Yeah, male and female.
Huh. Random question. Do you know Gus Johnson?
Yes, from Detroit. Saw him Saturday at the Big House.
Tell him, next time you see him, say Ron says hello. He's my first cousin.
So speaking of Jamel, I told her that when she has something back here to hook up with you, and she actually said the DJ here is from Detroit. So I have to find out for you later who that was, because I'm sure you know.
Oh, nice.
So Jamel did an amazing job of sourcing Detroit-owned.
Oh, I love it.
Entities. So like the photo booth people were from Detroit.
I love it. Completely love it.
I said we couldn't get Lafayette Coney dogs here. I joked about that, but you know what she had? In-N-Out. She had an In-N-Out
burger.
truck
nice.
for the after. So we had to turn in our phones.
Yeah,
so that we
you're
could
telling
be
me
present. And because Essence Magazine had exclusive rights to the content. So when I went to get my phone, they gave me a ticket that said, please enjoy an In-N-Out burger of your choice just outside and sober your drunk ass up. So everyone who got their phone got that. So just to kind of soak it up a little bit. Nice. So, yeah, it was amazing.
Nice. So I'm going to switch gears one more time with you. Something that you really speak about a lot to me. It's about growing up around the deaf community. Around you. If you guys don't know, some of you may know if you know him personally, but Larry told me his parents were deaf.
Okay.
And he grew up, just with that in his life to this day, and I want you to speak on that. Like, I want to ask you, like, growing up as a younger child and dealing with it, how was it tough then, or is it still tough as an adult?
So I will do what they call SimCom, which is speaking and signing at the same time, which is not true American Sign Language. It's not true English, but just to give you an idea.
Okay.
So my mom and dad are deaf, and my nephews, and growing up, I didn't know any different, right? My mom and dad are deaf. The difference would be, like, I would have to tap them on the shoulder and not shout, I'm going to the park. I'd have to go find my mom and dad.
Right.
When you lose a sense, like hearing, your other senses heighten, right? So imagine a deaf mom.
Right.
You can't get nothing by her.
Oh, of course.
So she would know. She would know when I got home because my parents' bed was above the front door, and when I would shut the door, no matter how quiet I would do it, my mom would know that. Right. She actually told a story recently where cool. I was trying to sneak fireworks out of the house. I had them like under my sweatshirt, and she's like, "What do you got under your sweatshirt?"
You should have thrown them out the window and then go outside and get them.
So my mom and dad, Rita and Larry, and we talked about someday it might be down the road. We'll pop up a little little picture-in-picture in this video and have somebody signing what we're saying.
Absolutely.
That's hot. That might be down the road. I know you don't have your production team to do that quickly, but I got talent for it.
Team. Right.
So my older sister, Marion, I leaned on her.
Okay.
She didn't have anybody to lean on. So when there was a problem with DTE or the cable bill or the phone bill, like, Marion had to call. I could go through her to get to my parents. My sister also got her degree in sign language from Madonna University, which is right around here, right?
Absolutely.
And she has always really been in the deaf community. I've been kind of late to the party.
Okay.
But 5 years ago, I had a sabbatical at the University of Michigan, a mid-career sabbatical program from journalists all over the world. And what came out of that is a side life mission that I have, which is to give deaf people more access to more things in media and in the world in their language, because American Sign Language and English have nothing to do with each other. So closed captioning, which is going across the bottom of the screen, often incomplete, right?
Of course, absolutely.
That's the second language for most deaf people who are in the deaf culture with a big D. Sign language is their first language. And there are some entities, including one in Detroit, that are providing current events and more in sign language. And I'm hoping that one or two of them emerges as a leader, and that I can partner with them and leverage some AP content to help them have content and distribute to a wider margin. Because, there should be a channel on Hulu or DirecTV or Comcast where they're delivering the news in sign language, where they're taking this podcast and providing a summary of what was said. Talk shows with deaf people. There's so much out there for this overlooked and underserved population. And if you've been to a Michigan football game in the last 3 or 4 years, if you look up at the during the national anthem in the corner, there's a little picture-in-picture with a deaf University of Michigan dental student signing the anthem.
Wow.
I made that happen during my sabbatical with then athletic director Jim Hackett, who's now the CEO of Ford Motor Company.
Wow.
So I'll hook you up with him too.
Please hook me up.
Hook me up. Some NHL hockey games have had deaf people signing that I've kind of coordinated with behind the scenes. Niall DeMarco, who won Dancing with the Stars,
I know he is.
and he's deaf.
Right.
I hooked him up with Dan Gilbert and the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I lobbied ABC and NBC to show him picture-in-picture. And for the first and only time during the national anthem, during the NBA Finals game, they showed Niall DeMarco signing the anthem. Usually they just do kind of a cutaway.
Okay.
But they had him on the whole time.
The entire time.
And when I knew that was going to happen, I bawled. Like, slobbered, snot coming all over the place, just like every emotion I had.
Rightfully
Thankfully,
so.
I'm composed right now. But, it's my dream to, for my parents who are living and my nephews and the million Americans that are deaf and in the culture, they signed. It's not like they, have hearing loss, so that they have better access to more things in their language. Because being deaf is not a cognitive disability.
Okay.
You just can't hear.
Right.
They have a language. Their brains work fine. So they just need access, right?
And this might be completely crazy, a crazy question. Well, I'm going to say
ask me anything
I'm going to say it's not a stupid question to ask. But so they were deaf when you were a child, right?
Right. My mom was born deaf in Italy. She jokes in a cave from the toe of the boot. That's why I got my pigment.
Right. I see it.
My dad grew up in Ann Arbor, and he became deaf when he was about 18 months old. He had a high fever, ear infection. Next thing you know, he was deaf.
Okay.
And both of them were not taught or encouraged to sign by their parents or school or the community. They wanted them to speak and learn how to read lips. Right. So they had to kind of learn sign language on the sly, on the underground.
And my question that I think may be crazy, but at the same time I don't think. So how did you learn to speak?
My grandma, Marion Lage, lived 2 blocks away. And she was like my hearing mom. And on your third podcast, which if your listeners haven't heard, please listen. You talked about being a helper.
Absolutely.
Because one of my I think I am too. I just have a different word. It's semantics. I think we might have texted about this. So my grandma Lage has a million lines, and I've shared some of these with some Orange Theory people. Shout out Elena, Coach Elena.
What's up, Elena?
There are 2 kind of people in the world. The late, great Marion Lage said, givers and takers.
Right.
Another line from her while we're on it is, tell me who your friends are, and that'll tell me a lot about who you are.
Absolutely. Completely agree. Completely agree.
Yep. So she was most popular Ann Arbor High, 1927. My kids are 4th generation Ann Arbor Pioneer students. My son will graduate in 2024, almost 100 years after my grandma Lage.
Wow.
Her dad was the mayor of Ann Arbor, sheriff of the county. They named a park after him. When I was growing up, I thought Worcester Park, we donated it. I'm like, man, we could have put a fat house on this hill looking at downtown Ann Arbor. Right. But I later found out, no, they honored him by naming it Worcester Park, my great-great-grandfather on my dad's side.
Nice. So
I have deep roots in the Tree City.
And which basically means you go for U of M over State. All right, so...
you let it go.
Yeah, I'm not.
If I tell you something... Don't question it. You said I'm one of your new friends, right?
Yeah,
if I tell you something, just say nod.
I can't believe it.
All right, I know, right?
You gotta go for somebody. You just gotta go for somebody.
You just don't. Unless you're in my shoes as a sports writer, and you see how the dinner is made in the kitchen, right? And it's not just the product. If
MSU had a party and U of M had a party tonight with great friends at both, and both invited you, and you had to pick one.
Michigan
Which
State.
One? Well, there it is.
But you're talking about partying. You're talking about social aspect. You're not talking about athletics or a game I'm covering. Michigan State is more fun. I think Michigan people will tell you that. I mean, they'll try to hate on them and say that's because you don't have good grades or whatever. But I think the world is run by B students, because a lot of times A students don't have the social skills, and the C students don't have the work ethic or the cognitive ability.
And the B students get it done. Hell yeah. All right, so real quick. Larry gives out amazing quotes. Give me your 3 best life quotes.
Obstacles are what you see when you take your mind off your dreams.
Bam. 1.
If you don't put in the order, you won't get served.
Bam. Probably my personal favorite.
You never know who's watching. Want the backstory on that third?
I'll give
you the backstory on each one. So obstacles are what you see when you take your mind off your dreams. Is something I read as a kid in Sports Illustrated, which I read religiously. and it served me well because my first 3 years after I graduated from Michigan State with a degree in elementary education.
Okay, because you're going to be a teacher.
Just in case my dream didn't work out.
I was going to teach
advice
you.
I got from Bill Bonds.
Okay, nice.
Who is the inspiration of Anchorman.
I remember Bill Bonds.
Legendary.
7, right?
He has passed.
Right.
R.I.P. Bill and his family. And he would love when I would tell him that story. So I went up to him when I was a kid at Chrysler Arena where Michigan basketball played because my friend's dad was the assistant basketball coach. So you know me, I put in the order.
Right.
I got tickets. I had press pass. And I would go up to people who had jobs I wanted, and I would say, and this is good advice for anybody coming up, go up to people that have a job that you think you might want and say, I want to do what you do when I grew up. What do you suggest I do? Bill Bond said, go to college and get a degree you can feed your family with in case it doesn't work out.
Nice.
So I got my degree in elementary ed. My first 3 years out of college, while I was valeting cars, delivering pizzas, doing anything legally I could do to make money.
Illegal. All right. I get it. I love it.
I was like, so when you get a Social Security update about how much money you've made each year, my first 3 years taxable, I was under 15 grand.
Right.
With a degree, with what I thought was a bright future. There was 1 year where I graduated and I went 0 for 25 trying to get a TV job.
Okay.
I didn't sign a lease because I was going to get a job.
Right.
So I slept on a couch at 523 Sunset. I think that was a street in East Lansing. My stuff was behind a bar. I would hope that my friends hooked up and slept somewhere else so I could sleep in their bed.
Nice.
And obstacles are what you see when you take your mind off your dreams got me through that time, because I could have given up and said, you know what, I'm just going to be a teacher. I'm going to be a coach. I'm going to be happy. Yep. Number 2, Dave Demarco, when he was a bartender in Lansing, and he's now a radio talk show host in Lansing. Shout out Dave, Mad Dog DeMarco. He taught me that line. If you don't put in the order, you won't get served.
Nice.
That can serve anyone well. Shout out to Ingrid,
Shout
Orange
out
Theory.
Ingrid.
She basically shared that on her Instagram, and that's when I hit you up with that.
Yeah.
And number 3, you never know who's watching. In the summer of 2000, I got a call from the guy who had my job for 29 years. His name is Harry Atkins.
Yeah, you told me.
And I'll do his voice. He said, "Hello, Larry. This is Harry Atkins from the Associated Press. I've been reading you. I've been watching you. I've been talking to people about you. I've been listening to you, and I think you should apply for my job." I hadn't said 5 words to this guy in my life. But he was retiring, and he was scouting the state for a sports writer that he could reach out to and say, hey, you should apply for my job and get that man or woman in the door with a foot.
Right.
And I couldn't believe it. I hadn't said 5 words to this guy in my life, but he was scouting me. And I was on fire because I was 25, 26, 27 years old. Michigan State's winning a national championship. I'm super tight with Izzo and Mateen Cleaves, Morris Peterson, all those guys.
OP.
Shout out. And I couldn't believe it. And when I do talks, I tell a little bit of that story, but then I really tell people, young people in particular, watch your social media use. Because as soon as you apply for a job or a scholarship or a raise or a date, people are going right to your social media to see how do you present yourself.
Absolutely.
And all those Snapchat videos that you think are going away, don't be so sure there's not some Russian company ready to tear you down when you become famous.
Absolutely.
Right? So
100%.
You never know who's watching. That's mine. The other 2 I borrowed.
That's why I don't share anything negative ever. I never will.
And so those are 3 of my 5 go-tos when I do my talks.
Let me hear the other 2. You got 2 more. The world need to hear them.
Be professionally aggressive is number 3. That comes on the heels of
number 4.
It comes on the heels of number 2. If you don't put in the order, you won't get served. Be professionally aggressive.
Okay.
And learn the line between being professionally aggressive and just aggressive and annoying. And number 4 is read your writing out loud, because if it sounds good, it reads well. So when I'm covering a game, I cover my eyes like this to cut down on my distractions with my ADHD.
Okay.
I put my fingers over my ears, and I read my stories to myself while there's pandemonium at times going around me.
Okay.
Because if it sounds good, it reads well. I made that up talking to my daughter, Elle, Sophia, shout out, talking to her third grade class at Patton Gill Elementary. Have to shout out my
son
Leighton and Suzanne too, in case they listen.
Okay.
But
make them listen. Just tell them listen.
Well, hey,
I shouted you out.
They still haven't seen the documentary that I was in.
They will.
They want my head to stay in the door. I mean, I like to think I'm very humble. You can probably speak to it more than I can, but obviously we're talking about me, so I don't sound so humble right now. But
right.
But I'm a helper too, and a giver. As you know, connector. That's what I do.
I love it. All right. So, this is where you get to ask me anything you want to. Anything. There's no limit. It can be 5 questions. It can be 2. It can be 1. It doesn't matter. And I will give you my complete, honest answer, no matter how uncomfortable it may make me.
On average, what time do you go to bed and wake up?
It depends on... Wake up always 3:45, between 3:45 and no later than 5:30 a.m. If I have to DJ, I'm getting up at 3:45. If I have to DJ at 5 a.m., I'm up at 3:45. If it's a regular day, I'm up by 5:30, no matter what. Even if I went to bed at 2:30 a.m., it doesn't matter.
That's a nap.
Yeah.
Okay, so average time you put your head in the pillow.
I would say on average, max 4 hours, 4.5 hours.
So you get about 4 hours of sleep a night.
About 4 hours sleep.
Do you nap?
Yes. Short naps, though. Like, I can nap for 30 minutes and feel like I took an 8-hour nap or went to bed for 8 hours.
Right.
Yeah. Quick naps. There's no secret to this. I feel like my body got so used to it. Like, people say it's unhealthy and all of that. I've yet to feel an effect, and maybe I will down the road, but I've been doing this for years, and I'm perfectly fine.
What was rock bottom or the most challenging moment of your life coming up?
Coming up as a kid or an adult?
We'll say pre-20.
Pre-20.
How old are you?
I am...
I don't know that.
32.
Okay, 32. So, I'm 46.
Okay. Challenging as a kid... may have been, I'm going to be honest, my family, like, once I figured out exactly what I wanted to do, nothing could stop me. I've always been, like, tunnel vision. And I didn't grow up with the family that was like, oh, work on your dreams, follow your craft. Like, the sacrifice I put in was super challenging because it was like, it's me and a bunch of my friends, and we all broke. It was never, my mom didn't buy me a keyboard or a drum machine or anything like that, Even, I was a huge basketball player growing up. I think my mom I love my mom and my dad. I probably played over, let's just say, 2,000 games. It may have been a total of 3. And it wasn't like I was riding a bench. It was the best player on the team. But, so not having that support, it was tough later. And when you're young, you don't get it. But as you're growing up, you're like, damn, you start to get it. So that was probably the toughest part as a youngster. As an adult, the toughest part may have been, thinking like, what if this doesn't work? That was tough. Like, what? I wasn't going to stop anyway. Like, I'll just die homeless or whatever.
Don't stop.
Yeah, don't stop. But it's like, damn, I don't want to die homeless. So,
Do you date? Are you dating?
Yes, I am dating. Do I date? Well, that answers that question. Yes, absolutely. Is it complicated? Oh, not complicated. Is it tough to do with a schedule like mine? I'm going to say no. Because I've met someone who quote unquote gets it. I guess that's it. Gets it.
Gets you.
Yeah, exactly. Gets me. And
that's it.
Yeah, and that makes it easier. Yeah, I mean, in life,
you need a strong, independent woman, just like I have and had. And
Right.
I'm still married, but
Right.
When I met my wife Suzanne, she had and still has a job, special ed teacher. Didn't need a man. Wasn't unhappy, wasn't desperate. What's your man got to do with me?
Right. I got a man.
So
Special K.
You need that.
Absolutely.
Just like I do, because I work nights and weekends, and something could pop anytime.
At any given moment. Everything can change.
I turn my phone off right now. I'm hoping there's no breaking news, because that's my ass if I'm caught up in a podcast.
Malice at the Palace 2 is happening right now. Right. Let's hope not.
What's your favorite meal?
Favorite meal? I make jokes about being black and loving chicken. I love chicken, and it's a complete stereotype, but yeah, it's one of the true ones.
Have you had Gus's in Memphis?
No, I haven't.
Oh, have you had Frankenmuth chicken?
Of course.
That's the bomb.
Absolutely.
But Gus's in Memphis
Gus is in Memphis, Tennessee. First off, I don't really want to go to Memphis. I'm going to be honest. They on First 48 a lot, and I don't really want to go
How
to Memphis.
about Malace and Ipsy?
Malace and nope.
All right. So you're going to have to hit that.
Malace.
Yep.
Okay.
Malace.
And Ipsy.
And so it's Nashville hot style.
Okay.
So it's either no spice, medium, which is spicy, or hot AF. Like literally, and don't dare go for that. I'm telling you. The medium is hot enough. I like spicy.
So don't do the hot AF. Can you do half? Can you do half and half?
Exactly.
Nice.
Where do you see yourself in, or what do you see yourself doing in 5, 10, 15 years? Scale it for me.
5 years. And I'm going to say less than 5 years. Like, I completely want to work for myself. I've always wanted to work for myself. I've been laying the foundation to work for myself. In the world we live in today, I believe it's beyond. Even in the world before, I believe it's easy if you set your mind on it and just tunnel vision it. Like, I want to work for myself. I always make a joke that I want to work in my pajamas. That's not a joke to me. I want to do what I do literally in the leisure of my studio or my home, because number one, it can be done because there's someone doing it. There's someone doing it. There's not just someone, there's tons of people doing it. I want to be that person. I spend a lot of time, I'm a homebody that spends a lot of time outside of the house. Like, I joke about being an extrovert, introvert, but me, you never will see me with a group of people if I'm not working. Never. It just doesn't happen. If you see me in the car, I'm by myself. You see me out somewhere, I'm by myself. It's just how I operate in my mind. But 5 years from now, definitely doing what I do, which is a service for people, being a helper, helping people, but doing it completely the way I want to do it. From that level, 10 years from that, or 5 years from that, reaching out to people, those people you saw in this room tonight. I mean, not tonight, but that night. Those people that you met, giving opportunities to others. I believe that sometimes you can do all the right things, but, excuse my language, but some shit gotta shake. Sometimes an extra hand will help. You know, you can bust your ass all day, but sometimes you need somebody to look out for you. I believe those people in this room, they were great people who bust their ass every day. They wouldn't have been here if they didn't. And I want to be a person that, not even want to be, I'm going to be a person to be able to reach back to one of them and help them do something that they want to do, you know. And sometimes it's all people need. They just need a little boost, you know, whether it's a loan per se or opportunity or whatever. I want to be able to do that. That's something that when I talk about you, I always say he's a connector of people. What you're doing, what I want to do. I don't know if you know that, but you reach out all the time for anybody, though. Anybody.
And I do it all day long.
And
It's what I have found, like you said on your third podcast, your solo monologue,
exactly.
That changed your life when someone told you were a helper. Mm-hmm. And
Absolutely.
It was a couple years ago that I figured out, 2-3 years ago, I have so many friends and acquaintances and people in my life that I am here to help. Mm-hmm. So I do it with career days in Ann Arbor, right. Not just doing a one-off and doing my thing, but bringing my my people together mm-hmm. to educate our future leaders, because amazingly, career day is not a regular part of the curriculum at every school. Like, what are we going to school for, man? We're going to school to better ourselves and get careers. And I want to I sent you a quote from the Tony Dungy book, but there's another quote, and I'll share it with you later. But basically, help as many people as you can in as many ways as you can, as long as you can. Like, that is my mission in life. And what I have to do is make sure I start in my house with myself and my wife and my kids, and then my family, and then my friends and strangers, you know. So, I mean, I think that's what I'm here to do. And I don't make any money ever, not yet, helping people. I mean, I might be your agent. We'll talk about that later.
Right.
But I don't get a tangible return on the helping I do.
Absolutely.
It's just what I do because I have like the best life. I wouldn't trade places with anybody.
I agree.
And it's my blessing and my duty to, you know, spread the love. Back to the questions. Your sons, what is like a go-to line or two that you say to them that they would know that's their dad talking to them?
You can do whatever you want. Just understand there's a consequence to it. That's it. Son, you can do whatever you want. Just know there's a consequence, whether it's a good one or a bad one. I learned a few years ago that I didn't want to dictate their decisions. I put the right tools in you. Your mom puts the right tools in you. But I'm going to let you make the choice. Like, you see that flame. Now, you know, you want to touch it. That's cool. But just know there's a consequence to it. So that's something I live by. They know it. Whenever we have our sit-down talks or whatever, son, here it is. You can do it. Now, I'm going to let you. I'm not gonna bully you into choosing what I think you should choose, because if I chose what my dad thought I should have chosen, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. I would be a painter, you know. But I decided to do what I wanted to do and understood that it was consequences. I was broke for a long time. Even with kids, I was broke for a long time, and I figured it out. So absolutely, they know that like the back of their hand. Do what you want, but understand, be okay with the consequence.
So last question. I came here with a gift.
Hell yeah.
What do you think is in there?
It says, I'm going to show it. It says Ronnie has my government on here. I'm going to say I have no clue.
Okay, so open it up.
Literally no clue. All right.
As you mentioned, I was Mr. Clean for Halloween, and I won a month of my membership at Orange Theory.
Okay.
And I took that savings and bought basically coupons for my massage therapist, Amanda, in Ann Arbor.
Nice.
And I'm spreading the love to my Orange people.
How do you pronounce her last name? Do you know? Is it Boivin?
I don't know. She'll need that much more business, but it's Amanda.
It's all right. It's in here. Let's get that in there. Hold on. And it's $25 off.
Right.
So basically, if I get like a 30-minute massage,
I mean, you could basically get a really cheap 30-minute
massage.
Or
right.
treat yourself. And now this is gonna be hard for you to take care of yourself, but this is
I know,
when you come to Ann Arbor. If Coach Greg gets you on the calendar,
I know. Come on, G. Come on, Big G.
I
you
love
gotta
you,
reach out, man. I love you too, bro. I'm gonna have to reach out to you first. I get it.
Thank you for being you for me.
Yo, this is awesome. Yo, this is really awesome. No, thank you, and I'm definitely using it. I haven't made my December schedule yet, and I will literally
put
this
around
on the schedule. Yep. Literally.
Text her.
Yo.
Tell her I sent you.
Hey. Yo, I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it. Yo, thank you.
I'm glad you waited to the show to open that.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna do it before. Nice.
I love you.
I love you more, brother. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yo, guys. This has been the More Life Podcast. I count the episodes. This is episode number 4. My man Larry Lage.
Subscribe, share.
Oh, I thought you were going to keep going. Right, subscribe to me on YouTube. Hit that share button. This is it. Peace.